Right guys, well I've just whipped the top off the, what I will do is just turn that air off a second because the pump does make a lot of noise. I've just whipped the top off. It's been running for a day off the pre-pump filter, and that's what it's caught in a day. So great stuff, it's doing its job. Fantastic. That is one day's worth. So I'll just wash that out and we can get it back up and running again. Okay, I've got my hose, so we'll just give it a quick wash out. Just undo the tap fully, let it drain away. There it is. I'm sure we've got it all. There we go. That's it. All ready to cut back up and starting to run again. Great stuff. Lid back on. It's all nice and square. Close the tap and off we go again. Switch the pump off and collecting it straight from the pond. Let it get rid of a bit of the air, and that's it. Away we go again. Well guys, I'm on one of the boring jobs at the moment. I'm just giving the pond covers a coat of paint, which is really boring. I'm not keen to painting anyway, but that's what I'm doing at the minute. I've got one done, that's the second one done, so I've got 4 more to go, but I have to wait for them to dry before I can carry them outside. It's a bit of a slow old job. But that's 2 down, 4 to go. Well guys, as you can see, I've got the lily over to this side, the big one. This is the one that needs the treatment badly. It's been in about 4 years and not been touched, so it's going to be all over the sides of the basket. Now I've tried to get it out with my tool that I made, but unfortunately I can't lift it. It is so heavy. So what I've got to do is make some modification to it so that I can get it lifted out. The problem being it's a basket on top of a basket. Underneath it there's another basket that it's sat on. So it's quite tall when you get it out. It's 2 baskets high. So I've got to think of something that I can get my implement on it and lift it out somehow. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Wowee, what a job that was. Yeah, devil. Whew. Now that took a bit of getting out. I had to get it to the surface and hold it there and chop all these crowns off. I had to chop all these crowns off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big ones there. Pardon me. They'll all make good lilies. If they was to be planted, they would make good lilies. You only need about 3 inches of a lily and replant it and it will come again. But the basket's still full. Wow. A little tip guys, don't leave your lilies 4 years, do them every 2. Don't put them off like I did. Yeah, devil, that took some getting out of there. I had to put a big extension on my the tool I made. Yeah, devil. Never known anything like it. That was horrendous getting it out. Like I say guys, don't leave them 4 years. That's why it was chucking up so many leaves, you see. All these crowns were chucking up leaves. That's why it was so big and bushy. It'll be a bit less next year, I can tell you. So now I don't even think I'm going to bother trying to sort that out. I'm just going to take it off and then replant one of them back in the basket and call that it. I'll chuck these others away. It's a shame because they make good lilies, but there you go, I don't want them, I've got enough. So we'll get this thing off here and start thinking about getting it replanted. It's out and done anyway. The job's a good one. There you go, look, off that lily, and there's still a basket full. Half a dozen good crowns, or kernels, whatever you care to call them. Half a dozen good crowns there, lily crowns. Would make good lilies. I'm going to pick the best one of them and the rest will have to go, I'm afraid. And there we go. That's it, all in the basket, all covered down and ready to go back in the pond. I could have put a couple of lily tablets in there just to give it a bit of a hand, but that's going back in the pond now. And that should be my lilies done for this year. Still haven't got my bottom drain done. It's about 5 o'clock at night now I've got this done. It's taken me all afternoon. Get it out, get it cut up. Dear oh dear. But there it is. Ready to go back in the pond. What I've got to do now is some serious cleaning up. I've got a load of stuff out here. So it's a serious clean up job now. See if I can get it done before it rains, because it does look like rain. And there it is, back in the pond. Over there, there's a few leaves on it, which I've left on for now. But I won't have such a good show of lilies this next year as I have done this year. It had got a bit out of hand, that one. But there you go. It's back in, and we'll see what comes of that. It's all getting very interesting, these lilies and what I'm planting in this pond. I should feel a right idiot if it all goes tits up for next year. But never mind. That's the big leaf one down there and the little ones up there somewhere. But that's it, I'm done with my lilies for this year. The big one will come out next year. It's its turn to come out and we'll have a look at it and probably repot it. If not, just cut a couple of the crowns off if they're growing out and put it back in. But there we go, that's my lilies in the pond. All that's done, ready for winter. Another job down. Okay, I just want to show you the pond temperature quick. We'll have a look at that. It was 15, and if we look now, we're down to 13. It's dead on 13, and it's been a warm day today. It's come up a little bit, so we're getting down towards the 12s. So my fish now actually are on wheat germ. I'll give them wheat germ because it's a lot easier for them to digest when it's cold or colder. I shall feed that till they get down to about 8 degrees. Once it's down to about 8, I shall stop feeding them. But I only give them what they want. I stand there and feed them it, and if they stop eating, I stop feeding. That's so that we don't end up with a load of food in the skimmer. Winter's on its way, I'm afraid. Now that, the pre-pump filter, as you can see, I've just put some tape round the top at the minute. There's still a little bit of air getting in somewhere, and I really can't find where. I'm suspecting, I don't think it's the top, I'm suspecting the actual fittings there. I never see any bubbles in them. It's either them or the tank connectors, I think, that the problem is. That's what I suspect anyway. So I've sent for some pneumatic fittings for that, and we'll see if that makes any difference. But I've taped the actual joint of the top off very carefully, so that if the air was getting in there, it would try to suck the tape in. But there's no movement on that tape whatsoever, so I don't think it's the top. It's got to be all the other bulkheads and that sort of thing that I've actually fitted to the tank, I've gone around on the outside with silicone and left it while the tank was stood. I left it and it had 3 or 4 days easy to dry, and it was well dry before I put it back on to the pump and got it up and running before I switched it on again. So that was well dry. So I really don't think the 3 bulkheads that I've fitted, I really don't think the air's getting in there, which only leaves this pipe there. It's not a lot now. That's been running 4 or 5 days now, and there's still that little bit of niggly air getting in. I would like it, it doesn't matter because it's working absolutely spot on. I'm really glad I fitted that thing, but it does control its own level. As you know, I put a hole in where I want the water level, so if the air does become greater and the level drops, it sucks that air out and gets rid of it into the pump. So it does actually work, it's working spot on. And the RDF, I must say, is doing very little at all. It's cut it right down on work. It's cut it down by about 2/3 of what it was doing, and as you can see, the mesh is just totally clean. There's no dirt on that whatsoever, no little bits of algae or anything like that on it. That's the cleanest I've ever seen it, and I haven't touched it for 4 or 5 days since I gave the RDF a clean out. Since the pre-pump filter's been up and running, really. I haven't touched it since then. And when it does trigger, which I will show you it doing that, it's going to trigger within the next 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll just show you what comes out of it. There's no large particles at all, but I'll come back in a few minutes when it triggers. And there we go, guys, it's just triggered, and that's what we're getting out, just the fine dirt. There's no lumps or anything like that in there at all. It's just left the RDF to take out the fine dirt. So that pre-filter is really doing its job. I'm well pleased with that. A good bit of kit to add to my system. And of course I don't have to clean the pump out at all. It sorts it all out before it gets to the pump. And as you can see, the mesh is spotless. There's nothing in there at all. Marvellous. Really impressed with it. Like I say, if I can just sort that tiny air leak out, it would absolutely be super. It doesn't stop it working, it works just as well, but it's, I don't know, it's one of them things that bugs me. I do like something to be right. So I would like to find out where the air leak is actually, just to make the job 100%. And I'm now about to start on the bottom drain, so we're going to have a look at that. I've got my pressure washer and vacuum cleaner ready. I'm going to whip the top off, hoover the actual basin of the bottom drain out itself, just in case there's any stones or what have you in there, and then I'm going to use my drain. I've got a drain cleaner line I use for this, which is one that you can attach to your pressure washer, and it blasts water backwards, which feeds itself up the line, so you don't have to push it up, it feeds itself up. And I'll use that just to backwash it and get any dirt out that's settled in the bottom drain. So I have stirred the pond up a little bit, we're moving a bit in there, so I'm hoping I can see what I'm doing. But I'll video it for you guys and we'll see how we go. Okay guys, now we get the tricky bit of putting the actual bottom drain lid back on. And that's it, job done. There was quite a bit of dust come up into the filter. If there's any big bits, obviously the pre-pump filter has taken it out, but I'm not sure I should pick that up. It looks black on screen, so I'm not quite sure what you guys are seeing, but it has gone quite dusty, so I did disturb some. We have got some out. That should be nice and clean now with that drain cleaner on it. But I might just drop the top off that later and have a look. It is running, I just haven't bothered putting the outside part that holds the lid on. I haven't bothered putting that back on it. But there you go, that's the bottom drain all done. Now I've just got to clear everything up. As you can see out here, we're quite a mess. So I've got to get all that cleaned up now and put away. Well guys, a busy day we've had today. That's the bottom drain done, the back supports for my pond covers are in. I've hoovered the pond out, I give it a good hoovering, and I've only got one more pond cover to paint. So a very productive day we've had today. Anyway guys, I'm going to call that it for this video. I'd just like to say thanks for watching, do take care, and happy ponding.